Today's road. Today, I want to talk about courage. Courage, what is that? Well, we have lots of definitions. We have books and movies and stories of mighty courage. I remember when I was a kid, stories of courage, and I'll tell you about those in a minute. But right now, I want to tell you, those of you that are new, what the road to 50 million is. So a month ago, I made a declaration, October the 14th. If you want to know why October the 14th is the start of my year, reach out and ask, and I'll tell you. But on October 14th last month, I made a commitment that this year, the next 12 months, well, of which 1 month is gone already, I'm going to reach 50 million people. 50 million. What am I going to do? Well, I don't just want to talk. I want to encourage you. I want to love you. I want to give you the courage, the determination to find your divine gifts and to serve with them. We live in a world right now where there's so much sadness and turmoil and political stuff that we all get lost sometimes. And courage is what I want to talk about. But the road to 50 million is a series of videos that I'm doing every single day. And I'm going to tell you what's on the road to 50 million. It started a month ago, and I'm committed to help 50 million people to discover and to serve with their gifts. Now, you have divine gifts. You are blessed with things that you're good at, that you want to do, that you love to do. And you also know from your own experience that serving and loving those around you is the way that we're happiest. Something about how we're built and created, right? We love helping. We love being of service. So taking advantage of that and then saying, this is who I am and what I do is the most powerful place we can be. And we spend so much time thinking about money, cash, and, status and all the rest that we get lost in the true meaning of what it is to be a human, a divine creation put here for a reason. We all came with gifts and talents. We all came with a mission and purpose. And sometimes we know what that is, and sometimes we feel like we don't. But leaning into that truth is what I'm about. So this year, I'm going to help 50 million people to discover and serve with their divine gifts. Now, maybe that they turn that into a business and make money. Maybe they don't. It's easy to do, easier than you think. But that's what the road to 50 million is about. It's the story of going through this year of declaration to get to 50 million. And I want you watching this right now to be someone that I can help to learn who you are and to live into that truth, to connect with and serve with the purpose that you have in your heart. And if you want to turn it into a business, let's do that too, because that's not difficult. People pretend that it's hard and it really isn't. Anyway, today on my road to 50 million, I had a really interesting conversation. I got to meet someone that I had met briefly before, but never had a individual conversation with. And I was blessed with the opportunity to speak with someone today. And I learned a lot about her heart. And I saw an example of courage, having been through a very difficult time. And I'm not here to tell her story, but I am here to say how impressed I was, how blessed to be in the presence of someone who had made a choice to overcome what at the time would have seemed like an impossible situation. At the time, it would have seemed like there's no way through, around, or over this obstacle. But instead of giving in, getting crushed, and giving up like we often can do, this woman elected to have courage and move forward boldly and clearly and recreate her life. And I was impressed and blessed. And now, one of the things she does is to help other women realize their own capability, their own divinity, their own ability, opportunity to love themselves and add good to the world. So I was really excited about that meeting today, and I got to spend an entire hour listening to the story and learning about her commitment and love of people. And she has several things going, but that was one of them. Her commitment to help other women who are facing difficult or insurmountable obstacles and making choices about being powerful. There seems to be a thing happening in the world. Do you notice it? The thing I'm noticing is there are more people, more voices, louder voices, teaching us to stop chasing just the money and the status and the stuff that 5 years ago, 10 years ago seemed so much more important. Today it's shrinking in importance, and I applaud that as loud and as hard as I can applaud it, because that won't create happiness. It doesn't bring peace. It doesn't bring contentment, and it doesn't bring real satisfaction in our hearts. So today I want to talk about courage. What is courage? Well, sometimes we think courage is, diving headlong into a battle that may seem hopeless or difficult, and sometimes that might be courage. Courage might also be the ability or willingness to stand for your convictions, even when it's difficult. I saw a post today from a client of mine that talked about speaking truth, even when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable. That sometimes people think that means being obnoxious or difficult to get along with, and it isn't. That's just being obnoxious or difficult to get along with. Courage is choosing to face something difficult and standing for something that is right anyway, standing for a truth, not being silent when things are going on around you that you object to, seeing someone mistreated and stepping in or standing up. Hey, we don't do that. I won't stand and watch that. I had the opportunity the other day to hear someone in a conversation. I have many, many, many of those because that's my business, right? Talking about themselves, and they were describing themselves in a particular way with sort of offhand, diminutive language. And I interrupted them point blank and said, I won't be party to a conversation where you are speaking about yourself that way. And they're a little shocked, looked at me, and I said, I won't hear it. And then I listed who I thought they were: powerful, capable, loving, and all a bunch of good things, because that's how I see them. And I wasn't going to be party to a conversation where they spoke about themselves in any other way. I want you to think about, if you will, with me, places today that you have exhibited courage, where something seemed uncomfortable and you did it anyway. You took a courageous move. It might have been a small thing. If you're willing, I'd like you to share that with me in the comment in whatever platform you're watching this on. I'm broadcasting to several because I want to celebrate your courage, your willingness to do something that you believed was right or you believed was good. Even though it was uncomfortable, you did it anyway. When I was a kid, the first example that I can remember of this is I was in grade school, and my grade school years were not pleasant. I wore out-of-fashion clothing and had patches on clothes and things, and so I got a lot of laughs, and I wore unfashionable this, that, and the other. So I got picked on, and I had great big horn-rimmed glasses that were thicker than these. And, whatever, maybe everybody got picked on some, but I had it a lot. And there was a time when there were some kids that lay in wait for me after school. They were going to beat me up. And I had someone that I knew at school who I liked, but I didn't think they liked me. And this individual stepped in and stopped this activity. Wasn't gonna have anything to do with it. And he was pretty significantly outnumbered, but stood his ground and wasn't going to let this happen. And as is often the case, not always, but often the case, the people that were going to do this thing beat me up, they backed down and left. And I have remembered that forever because, one, I didn't get beat up, and two, this individual, just because they could, made a choice to step in and do something that took courage. And I liked him a lot more after that when that happened, and we became better friends. We were just a little bit friends, and then we became good friends, and I really looked up to and respected this person because they did that. There are many times in your life, maybe today. So what I'm asking you to think about is, where today did you exhibit courage? Even if it was small, something that was uncomfortable and you did it anyway. Please put that in the comments wherever you're watching, because I want to celebrate your courage. You may also think of a time today where you thought you might do something or should do something and you didn't, and you exhibited lack of courage. You don't need to put that in the comments. I'm not asking for that, but I want you to think about it, because one of the things that helps me is to examine those fears closely and say, what is it that I'm afraid of? Usually it's some kind of embarrassment. Rarely is it bodily harm where we're going to actually be damaged. And even if it is, that might be okay. But most of the time it's fear. And fear of what? Well, fear of a feeling. Fear that someone's going to laugh at us or make fun of us, or we're going to be an outcast. And fear is somehow going to destroy us. And in that conversation with that powerful woman I talked about a little bit earlier in the live stream, she talked about people knowing what to do, going to an event or reading a book and learning, getting excited, knowing what to do, and then going back home and not taking the action, not doing something they could do. One of the things she teaches is sales. And so we talked about why people don't do that. Don't take the action they could do and they were excited maybe a few hours earlier to do. And she concluded, and I agree, that fear is the most likely culprit. And so in this episode or this live stream on courage, I want you to look in your own world. Where is fear keeping you from doing something you know is good for yourself? Where is fear keeping you from taking a stand or launching a product or business or fixing a relationship or setting something right that you know is wrong, even if it's been wrong and festering for a long time? This road to 50 million involves a lot of situations for me where conversations are uncomfortable or could be uncomfortable. The truth is, we really almost never know if they're going to be uncomfortable. We make that story up and we allow the story of fear to get in the way of doing something when we don't actually even know what's going to happen. We make up the story and then we decide it's going to be fearful, so we don't try. My invitation to you is to examine your relationship with courage. Maybe you have all you need. Maybe you're doing everything you know you could and should do. My guess is you're not, because most of us aren't. And I would invite you to join with me and take courage in the process of discovering your divine gifts. What gifts were you blessed with? What things come easy to you that bless the lives of others and serve? Have courage to speak up, create, and act. Examine your relationship with fear. Examine your relationship with courage. I have to do that every day. I mean, I did when I declared this. I thought, how dare I say I'm going to help 50 million people? Someone's going to say, how do you know? How do you know you're going to help anybody? How are you going to measure your 50 million? I don't know the answer to all those questions, but I know I'm going to do it, and I know I will know that I got there. There will be a way to measure, there will be a way to see, there will be a way to do it. And it isn't to say, yay, this. It's because my greatest joy in my life is helping someone change something for the better, be happier, succeed at business, repair a relationship, overcome a barrier they thought they couldn't get past. That's the thing that makes me the happiest. It didn't used to be. That's somewhere I've evolved to or grown into or something because of my situations and the things that I've been through. And I suspect that your life journey has created these kinds of courage producing things for you as well. So I invite you to share your relationship with fear and courage, especially where you've been courageous today. Thanks. We'll see you tomorrow on the road to 50 million.